The following is a sponsored episode.
Back to Cubicle to CEO. Today, I am rejoined by the Hope Levon Trory. So excited to have you back. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Hope is a former architect turned marketing strategist. And if you haven't met her before, she actually spent years designing structures before realizing that the same systems thinking that goes into a blueprint can transform how a business grows. So she actually made the leap. Now she's a full-time marketing strategist. And as the founder and CEO of HopeWorks Design, Hope helps mission-driven service pros, so that's architects, coaches, consultants, creatives, anyone who works one-on-one with clients, build marketing that works like a well-designed system. So that's intentional, efficient, and built to last. And in a previous episode, she had talked about her ACE framework. So if you're curious, we're going to link it below in the show notes. Make sure you tune in, which blends strategic SEO, smart partnerships, and relationship driven systems. And today we're going to really dive into that latter portion, that relationship driven systems, and really talk about how, again, if you are someone who doesn't really thrive being on social media all the time, trying all the trends, producing a ton of content, then I think you're really going to enjoy Hope's take on what she calls collaboration stacking and using that to build a sustainable visibility and lead generation strategy. So, Hope, I think maybe we actually zoom out a little bit and just talk about this overall philosophy you have around marketing with ease. What really made you realize that the traditional path of social media heavy growth wasn't the right visibility plan for you?
Yes. So, okay, let me step back a little bit. So I started out doing all the things that you're expected to do. So I was very much on social media for my business and, personally as well, of course. But after years of really making social media a key part of my marketing strategy, I had a sudden realization that it felt misaligned
Mm,
and in a few different ways. So I realized that I wasn't really showing up personally, like just on my personal accounts. I wasn't as interested. And so, but I still showed up professionally because it was a integral part of my marketing strategy. So I had to be there. And I thought for a long time, and I think many people do, that you have to. Like if you are going to have visibility, if you're going to get out there, if you're going to increase, brand reach, you need to be on social. So, of
mm,
course, right? And so I realized that even though I had systems in place, even though I batched content, even though I utilize automation in key areas for content production and for, distribution, I felt so much resistance. It felt like I had to move through this thick wall of like, think of like viscous honey. Like I just
oh,
am
yes.
getting through it. I'm like, oh, because I had to. And at least that's what I told myself. And one day I was just like, do I really have to? And I looked at the numbers. I looked at what my activities on social media were really doing, like what I was gaining.
Mm,
So, were all my best clients coming from social? Were I getting, tons of traffic from social? Like, what really was it providing my business besides, I have to be on social? And I realized that my best clients actually came either directly from referrals or they came from collaborations that I've done.
mm,
And while I did get clients from social, of course, it was successful. I was successful with social media. It was just that for the amount of energy and for the amount of resistance I had to kind of push through to make it work, it didn't seem to match up to what I was gaining from it. And so I did an experiment and said, okay, I'm going to slow down. I didn't just stop. I'm going to slow down and I'm going to see what happens. And I'm going to pay more attention to these other areas
mm.
of visibility and lead generation. And then after several months of that, I kind of forgot health social.
That's honestly the best story. You're like, I'm a Taylor Swift fan, so I think of that song like, I forgot that you existed. Like literally, it's so unimportant. I literally just forgot that you existed. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing, Hope. I love that for you, honestly. And I feel like there's so many people who wish to be in that position where it's such a non-essential piece of their business that if they go months without doing it, they honestly just forget. And, lately on the podcast, I say lately, but really it's been in the last 2 years, we've had several conversations with different guests on the power of going social media optional. And so I think that
Mhm.
what you're saying here is really affirming. And I love that we can get different perspectives on how different entrepreneurs are making that happen in their businesses. But the thing that you said that stood out to me just now was how you didn't just lean into your gut instincts around, oh, I feel this resistance and it's not my personality. Because I think it seems, at least, that had you looked at the data and the data told you a different story, that your best clients and the highest volume of clients was coming from social, it seems that you were proficient enough at social that you would have continued down that path because the
Oh,
mathed, right?
definitely.
But it's really great, I think, that you paired that, you kind of like used your internal judgment as a okay, here's a moment, here's a reason to pause, and then looking at the data, being able to actually identify what your best lead source is.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people miss that data piece, and so I'm really, really glad that you decided to do that. I'm just curious, did you look historically over the lifetime of the business when you were looking for that data, or was it just over the last, let's say, 6 to 12 months?
I did both because I wanted to. At first, I did the last 12 months
Yeah.
and just to see. And then I was like, oh, I wonder what this, if I zoom out a bit more, what does it look like?
Hmm.
And again, like I could consistently, attract clients via social media.
Yeah.
And that was historically representative in the data. However, when I compared the two, and again, like in the beginning, I didn't feel, that's the thing. There was a change in me, right? Because in the beginning, I had all the time and the energy for social. I loved it. I thought it was great. That was the best thing ever. But when I had that internal change, when it was just kind of like, oh, I don't really want to be here, and it feels kind of difficult to have to, like, to feel like I must do
Hmm.
this, that's when I realized that while it was a consistent source of leads and clients, it wasn't necessarily my best source of leads and clients. So, it felt like there was a potential it could become optional. And I mean, and you're right, like if the data told me otherwise, I would have figured it out. I would have had to do whatever internal work I needed to do, set up whatever systems, hire whatever I need to do to lean into social. But it just so happens that there was a little bit of data alignment with how I was feeling.
Yeah.
And that gave me permission to explore other ways and to see how much I really needed to rely on social.
Hmm.
And yeah, and it's been really great because I honestly kind of forgot about it. And then I realized I had DMs. I was like, oh, let me go into my DMs. I need to like stay top of that. But in terms of using it and looking toward it as a channel specifically for growth, like for acquiring new clients and new leads, yeah, it's completely optional. Like I
Mm.
haven't completely 100% cut it off like some of my colleagues have, which I think is amazing. But my activity there is more so responding to DMs, or if I want to help support a colleague's campaign, like I'll be in their comments, things like that. But I'm not there all the time anymore. So, and it feels great.
Yeah, no, I can see literally the peace and the joyful energy you have around this decision. So I love that. Let's talk a little bit about collaboration stacking. I mentioned this term earlier. It's something that you really believe in. How would you say collaboration stacking, in your view, is different from treating partnerships as one-off opportunities or campaigns? Walk us through your approach to utilizing this in your business.
Yes. So this is something that it was a hindsight recognition because I was, stepping away from social media being such a big part of my overall strategy. Around the same time as when I realized the importance of collaborations. And when I saw the data, it's like, oh, I need to be intentional about my collaborations. Like, what am I doing? Okay. But I think like many, many people do, I saw them as one-off opportunities. Even if I was partnering again with someone that I partnered with in the past, I didn't see them as a part of a collective whole or a part of a connected channel, really. And what I realized was that my best partnerships, where I also gained my best clients and best leads, were from what I've now called collaboration stacking. And so basically, when you approach a collaboration, and so I interchange partnerships with collaboration. Just want to make that clear and not confuse anyone listening, because when I say partnerships, I really mean, a casual, informal partnership or collaboration, not a merger or a very formalized partnership, right? That's a different beast. Okay. So I realized when I was looking at the data, and I was like, oh, like so and so and so and so, they're great partners for me. Every time we do something, like I get, my visibility increases. I get really like high quality leads, and many of them turn into clients. So clearly I need to keep partnering with these people because it's working out for us both. But I also realized that once I had that data, I started to look toward new partnerships and future partnerships with that in mind. Like I was looking beyond that instance of the collaboration or the partnership, whatever that activity happened to be, to see what are the other ways that we can continue to collab and what else can we do off the back of this instance of a collaboration. So for example, if it's a speaking opportunity, then, depending on the type of speaking opportunity, there are many opportunities inside that. So take a virtual summit, for example. If you're a speaker at a summit, usually it's either live, so you show up and you're at a time and you do your thing and you go, or it's pre-recorded, right? And so if it's pre-recorded, you've already sent in your materials to the host, and technically you don't even need to be around during the summit week because it's all there and that's it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's all fine. But what I realized is that your host, in this example of speaking opportunity for a collaboration, your host has many things on their plate. As the speaker, if you can do whatever you can do to make things as easy and smooth for them, that one is just really nice for you to do, and you're a really good collaborator, but also it really helps out the host and they will remember you and want to work with you again. And also, if there are maybe live activations during the summit week, you should be there. Like, even if you're not on the panel, you're not one of the speakers, or, like you could just be in the audience, because that gives you extra visibility within the general summit audience. And it also shows the host that you are really supporting her event, his or her event. And it also is a way for you to connect with some of the other speakers as well, potential collaboration partners. So it's just, there's all these little things you can do that won't take too much more of your energy and time, but have outsized potential results for you, outcomes for you. And then outside of that, it's like, okay, I know I'm doing this summit. I have everything that the host required of me. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be an excellent supporter, collaborator to help them with their event. But what happens after the event? What can you do or put into place to say, hey, let's talk about what's happening after your event, because I could help you in this way. This is some other collaboration ideas I've thought of. And if you have that in your mind before you even reach out to your partner, it's a lot easier to have in place, and they're more likely to say yes because they haven't, really like dialed in what they've got on their plate and what's in their schedule. So there's opportunity for you to create something new. And it's yet another way to solidify your partnership, but also to find other ways to make the most of your initial collaboration opportunity. And I use summit speaking, right? But any type of partnership or collaboration activity has multiple other ways that you can have these little mini opportunities of further collaboration. And what I've found is that when you do that, one, there's benefits for both sides, of course, but also you're more likely to be higher on their mind for when they are reaching out. When they're like, oh, I want to do this and I need to reach out for some partners, you're going to be at the top of their list, right? Because of that wonderful experience that you gave them. And if you can be strategic about your partnerships in that way, like design what those other possible opportunities can be. And then when you are thinking about other opportunities, it's like, okay, well, who else do they know? Who else is showing up to this event that I can connect with? Because you could possibly get another collaboration off the back of the collaboration you're doing in the moment, right? And that's something I love to do because on your plate, it's less burdensome, right? Because you're
Mhm.
not doing a ton of pitching. It's not a cold pitch. It's really just having conversations and saying, hey, I have an idea. What do you think? And if they're on board, okay, explore it. Go see how that you can make it happen. And you just keep doing that and doing that and doing that. And before you know it, you have a calendar full of wonderful collaborations and other potential opportunities. And you don't have to pitch every week and, remember to follow up and all of the other things you need to do, when you're pitching cold, basically.
That's amazing. Okay, so like your collaboration stacking strategy is literally the law of inertia, right? Like in action, it's like, okay, once you've started that role, if you can just continue to, like you said, set up the next thing from within the container of your current thing, then you never have to have this gap where you're out there cold pitching. And I really love your approach, Hope, of going deep rather than wide. So, like you said, with that summit example, being able to look at the summit not just from the lens of that one speaking moment, but like what's everything you can do to support the host beforehand? What's everything you can do during the summit to support the attendees further? What additional relationships can you cultivate from within the speakers or attendees post summit? I think that strategy makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm curious, with that lens of going deep rather than wide, have you found that over the last few years, your most effective collaboration stacking strategy has been working with fewer partners, maybe even the same partners seasonally over and over and over again, rather than working with a wide variety of partners? Or do you actually think the opposite has been just as beneficial? I'm just curious if you look
Mm.
at that the same too.
I do tend to partner again with the same partners. Like, if there's something good, then we keep
Yeah.
it going. Let the good times will keep rolling, right?
Yeah.
But I'm always on the lookout for new partners as well.
Mhm.
And what I've found is that if I have a really great partnership with someone, there's someone either that they know or is in their audience that is a potential great partner for me too.
Mhm.
So it's still, even if they're a new partner for me, it's come from a recurring partnership or collaboration that I have with someone else. So
Yeah.
I do think it's great to have an influx, like partner with new people, of course, but again, be strategic about it because I've had opportunities where I would have loved to partner with someone just because I love them and I love what they do, but it
Yeah.
didn't make sense for my needs and for my business. So it's like, oh, okay, maybe I can help you in some other way, but you have to be strategic. And sometimes there's really lovely surprises. Like I was on a podcast a few years ago, and that led to me doing some private workshops for the podcast host private group, like private community. And so that was awesome. Being on that podcast, also, someone that listened to my episode reached out to me directly, and we had a couple conversations, and that turned into me doing private workshops for his community and also being a listed referral source for his clients. So basically, I fill in the gap that he doesn't provide, which is a huge resource for him. And that all spreads out, like it keeps going, but it all led from the one podcast episode. But again, I thought, okay, how else can I work with this person, be in
Yeah.
this person's like world? Like, how else can I serve them? Can I help serve their audience? And I just looked for the opportunities and I asked, and, luckily I got some yeses. But
Yeah.
it's really nice because, especially when you are doing this and then someone reaches out to you and decides to start that conversation with you, because the same thing, when that person reached out and we kind of confirmed that we were on the same wavelength and that we had the same values and there was something there for us, that's immediately what I thought of. I was like, okay, this is a great idea. I'd love to be a referral source for you, for your clients, but I can also teach, like, we have a private community. I can be a guest expert for you. And then it's like, oh, you're doing a podcast. I could be a guest. So it's just finding all those ways, but it's really lovely when it happens because it tends to beget other
more opportunities.
opportunities. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that is so true. The more embedded you are in a community, the more conversations and opportunities just naturally find you. And that's why, again, I want to reemphasize for our listeners that while, yes, Hope does work with a variety of partners and is always expanding her network because of that kind of like secondary, tertiary connection from the initial point of contact, she still really goes deep into the communities that she does show up for partnerships in. So I think that's key. And then Hope, you actually help your clients with doing this, right? Inside your company, HopeWorks Design, you
Yes.
are helping your clients build out their own version of collaboration stacking. So I'd love for you to just quickly share the story of how you helped an architect client
Oh,
actually
yeah.
generate $800,000 in revenue opportunities, because that is wild. So if you want to share with
Yeah.
us how that happened.
That was fun. So, because of my background in architecture, I tend to have a lot of architecture related clients, which is great. I
Makes
love it.
sense.
But obviously, I work with, service pros of all sorts, not just architects. But this particular architect, she's an architect in North Carolina. And I mean, her practice was doing well. Like, she was successful. However, and this is something that's common to a lot of service pros, it's that she realized that because, especially with an architecture, because of the long lead time between a lead and then that becoming a client, it could be years before someone you talk to becomes a client of yours in architecture. She realized that she had a very uneven lead pipeline. Like
Mm,
sometimes she's swamped and other times it's nothing there, it's crickets. And she had been trying to create marketing strategies. They were really tactics, but she thought they were strategies to make a more even flow. Like she just wanted to have leads on tap, basically. And that's what she told me. And I love that phrase, leads on tap. But when we were talking, I realized that while she was trying to do all the things and not being very consistent with them, because, marketing was not the 100% focus of her business, that she had a gap. And when I was asking her about where her referrals came from and when she was doing direct outreach, where was she going, like where her people are, things like that, some really obvious to me potential collaborators came to mind. And one of them was someone she actually knew, was a realtor, a local realtor. And his area, like his territory, if you will, was her exact same region and neighborhood exactly. And so I was like, well, wait, you know him? And she's like, oh, yeah, like, I see him occasionally and we talk. I'm like, okay, you do realize a realtor is a really great partner for an architect, right? So I worked with her to kind of come up with her outreach angle and draft the messaging to send to him and to propose informal collaboration. In North Carolina, I think this is true in most states, but in North Carolina, there's actually for architects, there's a legal framework even for informal partnerships that you need to abide by.
yeah.
So we made sure she was compliant with that as well. But it started with him, with the one realtor. And basically it was like, hey, your clients, like we share a client base, your territory, we share a territory. I would think that your clients would love to be able to talk to an architect when they're deciding on properties to buy, because they can talk to an architect first, understand like what's feasible for the property, and then be able to use that into determining like if they really do want to buy a property or not, because they can know what's the future value of it, what might be a hidden money pit in terms of like renovations and things like that, what's actually possible. And he loved the idea. And so basically, what they've arranged together was that he would basically send or refer his clients to her so they could have a conversation for free. That's the thing. It was very short. We didn't want
Yeah.
to take up her time, but for free, to just get a really quick idea about what was possible. And she always, and I think this is key, she always said, for a true comprehensive feasibility review, you need to pay me.
Yeah.
You need to work with me. It costs this much, blah, 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 right? And then what she would do is when her clients were looking to buy or they were interested in other property, she would always send them to him.
Mhm.
And so it was a nice little back and forth there. And what happened is that I think it was less than a month when she got the first sale. Yeah, it was less than a month after setting up this arrangement with the realtor. And luckily, he had some buyers. They were hot, they were ready to go, but they had reservations about some of the properties they were looking at. So
Mm.
she helped out those buyers, and they ended up engaging her with a contract to do the renovations that they had mentioned. And that's the reason why they bought the house, was based on her feasibility report. And
Wow.
then they hired her because they wanted her to actually complete the renovation. And then more and more of that piled on. And so I also worked with her to like, okay, this is great. You've got a partnership. It's showing results like right away, which is amazing. But let's look for other opportunities. And so we found other realtors that are in different territories. So there's not an overlap, no competition or conflict of interest. And then we also found her some lawyer partners, like zoning lawyer. And we found her a doctor who's a really good referral partner for her. So even though these are all referral opportunities, for her as an architect, that makes a lot of sense. And it's a way for her to really talk to the potential client to see if they're even a good fit. So when they do reach out later, she'll have a good idea if that's something she wants to take on or not.
Yeah.
But within 3 months, she had one renovation. It was a total renovation project that was over $600,000. And then shortly after that, she had a smaller renovation project that was like 250K. And that was a few years ago. Like basically without doing any extra marketing,
Mhm.
anything outside of what we've set up for her with her collaboration, she has consistent clients coming in, and she's well over 2 million by now because it's been like a year and a half. So this, like, her partners are very reliable.
Yeah.
She's also reliable partners for them. And while she still does the other marketing, right? Like you can't abandon everything else you're doing. She knows, and she's been able to project out what she can reasonably expect for each quarter. And she's pretty on the ball. Her projections are pretty accurate based on, just what she has coming in. And the bulk of that is from her collaborations,
That's amazing.
which I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
mean, astounding. And I think too, back to my, earlier days of business, and I remember I used to call them power teams. I feel like exactly the relationship you just described, those power teams, those core pods of like, it could be just one, like you said, or it could be maybe up to five or six service
Mhm.
professionals who service that same client. I always go back to like wedding pros. I feel like that's the easiest example. It's like if you're a wedding photographer, then your power team is like the makeup artist, the event planner, right? Like anybody else who might service that same client, and they're going to need to shop all of those services in that same moment of time.
Yes.
So I feel
Mhm.
like that was such a great example, and hopefully gets some of our listeners' wheels turning on who in their network they can really build their power team around. Thank you so much, Hope. This is, I think, again, just such an encouraging conversation for our listeners to realize there's so many other ways that they can market their business and still have that reliability in terms of lead gen and visibility without having to rely on content creation. Just to like wrap up our conversation, two things. One, since you've implemented this and gone away from really relying on social at all, how has your business and your visibility grown? Just like showing us what's possible, right? And then number two, for anyone listening to this, they already have some potential avenues they can pursue right away, like finding those right fit partners, thinking of their existing collaborations and how they can stack, like you said, going deep. But if there's anything else we didn't cover where you're like, I really think this is an alternative visibility strategy somebody could start with today, I would love for you to leave that with our listeners.
Sure. Yeah. So for me, collaboration stacking has been the centerpiece of
Mhm.
my marketing strategy these days, like for the past couple of years, because what I've found for me personally, and this also is apparent in my clients that I set them up with it, is that it's really low lift,
Yeah.
which is great if everything else in your world is chaotic and crazy. It's really great to have something that's easy.
Yes.
And I've definitely has experienced that where there's some crazy things going on, and it's like, you know what? I know that I can rely that I've got this amount of leads I'm probably going to come in over the next few months, and so that means I can project out how many, like I know my conversion rate, so it's like, okay, that's coming in without any extra, right? Without me doing anything else. I know that's like bare minimum, and so I can make decisions based on that. And then when I have the time and the energy to do more, then I know it's going to be more. And that's great. And, and the same for my clients. But I have to say, in terms of visibility, it's really interesting because when I used to do more social media and SEO, I would have people, would ask how they found me and that sort of thing. And it's usually was finding me online somewhere and then a link to somewhere on my website or something like that. Or they interact with social posts and, click through from there. But once I kind of stepped back from social and was leaning in to collaborations, it's been, oh, I watched your session and immediately wanted to contact you, or oh, like I've been hearing your name, or I heard your business name. Like they hear me,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, let me do a quick Google, or I end up where they already are. So like I end up in an email that they're getting, for whoever they're on the email list of, and it's like, oh wait, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, I listened to her workshop or attended her workshop, or I listened to her session in this summit, or oh, I saw her speak here. And so that really is great because now when I ask that question, and it's on my forms as well, without a doubt, like 90%, like it's not even exaggeration because I did the numbers a few months ago. Like 90% of the people that find me from the visibility activities, and the majority of those visibility activities are collaborations. So
That's
that's
amazing.
everything's coming in. It's so fun. It's so great. I love it. And then for people, like if you are listening to this conversation and you're like, hey, I just did a collaboration that went really well, or I have something coming up, or I'm thinking about asking someone, what you can do with what you already have in place right now is one, be intentional about whatever the collaboration idea is.
Mhm.
So, and really dive in and think, what are all the ways that I can find some mini opportunities here? How can I go deep into this particular collaboration? What else can I do with this collaboration partner? Who else does this collaboration partner know that they can introduce me to? Think of all the different ways, like write it down, and then use to kind of map out or plan out how you want to approach your collaboration. And if you've done something already, like maybe last week you had a collaboration, reach back out to your collaboration partner with your ideas and say, hey, I really had a great time. This was really successful for me. Like, how was it for you? I mean, this should be standard anyway. You should always check in with your partner to see how it was for them, and, propose something else off the back of that, and something that you can do relatively recent, like soon. So not something 6 months from now, ideally, just to keep the ball rolling. And then, if you have not done many collaborations or partnerships, think about what would be easy for you to start with. Like a resource swap is one of the easiest ways to collab with someone. And that is something that should be a shoe-in for most potential partners that
Yeah.
you might be thinking of. And it's a way to start, because you start there and it's successful, you want to do it again, or you want to try something else, right? But just whatever type of collaboration idea you have, the thing you need to do in the very beginning is, what's the type of collaboration? Who are potential collaboration partners? And then what else can you do off the back of that? How can you stack that collaboration opportunity into more, right?
Mhm.
And then at the end, like once it's successful and you're like, oh, this was really great, and your partner's like, oh my God, this is really great, we should do this again. How can we do this again? Just keep it going. Don't let it stop. So I do have a resource that can help you with that. It's called the Collaboration Stack Map. And it's a simple worksheet, and it's to help you kind of really narrow down, what's a really good opportunity, and decide, is it an opportunity you should go for? Does it really align with what you need? And then two, it helps you to really think about what are the other stacking opportunities. Like, what else can you make from this opportunity? What else is available to you? Just to get your, gears in your mind
Wheels
turning.
turning. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and then, it just helps to open up all of the potential ideas for you. And it's a place to write it all down. Because for me, if if it stays in my head, I may
It's
remember,
chaos,
I may
right?
not.
Yeah. No, this was such a great, perfect next step for anyone listening to this episode. This is your homework assignment. Go download this worksheet, organize your chaotic, exciting ideas into a roadmap that you can actually follow to really make progress in this arena really in the next 30 days if you actually follow this roadmap. And then if you want further custom guidance from a pro who's done this for years and done this successfully, not only for herself, but for so many other service pros, you definitely want to reach out to Hope and just see what working together could look like. Hope, where can people reach out to you and continue to connect with you after this episode?
My website, hopeworksdesign.com, is the best place to reach me. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the one social platform I still pay attention to these days.
Nice. I've been hearing that more and more. I think LinkedIn, I've always loved LinkedIn, honestly. I'm more of a lurker there than a creator, but I get the itch sometimes because there's just some really great community building, I think, on that platform. But anyways, Hope's links will all be below in the show notes. So again, make sure you download that worksheet. If nothing else, grab that resource. And then, of course, go connect with her on LinkedIn and continue to be part of her world. Hope, thank you so, so much for sharing all of your tips and helpful insights with us today. And thank you all for tuning in. We will catch you in the next episode.